Okay, so this is John Richards, recording a cube draft. Um, Looking over this pack, a few pretty powerful planeswalkers. Sort of Fire and Ice stands out. I'll right click that just because it's pretty much good in any deck with creatures. Um, if we take the sword, we could pretty reasonably wheel the Hound of Khanda because white aggro is pretty unpopular. Ral Zarek's not the greatest planeswalker. Gideon Jura is pretty good in white-blue control, which is an archetype I quite enjoy drafting. White-blue control decks. Remand is okay. Wild Mikado is not a card. Brimstone Volley if I'm going mono red. But I think Sword of Fire and Ice is going to leave me the most open. Worn Power Stone is also an option. It's definitely a powerful card, but I don't know. It's hard to pass up a sword. The Gideon Jura or maybe the Sorin Lord of Innistrad would be my other choices. Um, but sword, I could see myself going a creature deck, and sword would be useful there. Okay, Control Magic, very powerful. Stoneforge Mystic, I've already got the sword. There's some other good equipment. If I take the Stoneforge Mystic, it's sad to pass the Path to Exile because they would go well on the same deck. Um, Shriekmaw's pretty good. Wall of Blossoms not so hot. Blightsteel Colossus is good if you've got a Tinker. Who knows how early people are taking that. um, Control Magic is very strong, but I think Stoneforge Mystic is a pretty good pick. I do like white quite a bit. It's just really, really sad to path the Path to Exile if you're going white because it's just people really love Path to Exile. Even though in Cube, especially with people doing such powerful things, giving them an extra mana can actually be quite detrimental. But I think Stoneforge Mystic is a perfectly reasonable pick, especially after taking the Sword of Fire and Ice. Um, could go for like a white-blue tempo deck. Um, Saying that, Mana Leak would be pretty good in that sort of deck. Excuse me. Archangel of Thune, it's pretty bad. Elish Norn is pretty good. Um, Mana Leak, if you're going for the white-blue tempo deck, you want things like Ether Adept, Man of War. I'm pretty sure Man of War is in the cube. I'm not sure if Ether Adept is in the cube still. You just want early disruptive creatures. You'd want something like a Vendilion Click. Uh, yeah. Rofalos is pretty good too. I could go for Elves of green ramp strategy. Maybe Rofalos is just more powerful than Memory Leak, Mana Leak. They're both pretty good. Rofalos is a speculative pick. If green is open, I'll be happy I took it. I'm not going to miss the Mana Leak a huge amount. Nope, nothing green. Face Fetters is pretty solid. If I want to go for more of a white-blue control style or a white-black control style, maybe. Agony Warp is pretty color intensive. Underground River is pretty bad. Izzet Signet could be good if I'm trying to ramp things out. Memory Lapse is fine. I think I'm just going to take the white card here. I really want to play the Stoneforge Mystic Sword of Fire and Ice combo, and Faith's Fetters is actually very, very effective removal, and if you happen to go up against the red deck, it's a really big leg up against the mono red deck, and Chain Lightning goes perfectly in that red deck if someone is picking up on those things. So it's not the greatest pick, not a terribly awesome pack either. Um, Tarmogoyf I don't like that much. I do like Stunted Growth. Deranged Trimmet can be pretty good, especially in the Smokestack deck. Ancestral Vision is pretty solid. Could go for Marsh Flats. Bonfire is pretty unreliable. Not really feeling a Wrath in this deck. I think probably the best choice is the Deranged Hermit if I decide to go out. I want to go for more of a green ramp strategy. I think I'm going to not go for blue at the moment. Blue is just pretty heavily drafted in Cube especially, and yeah, I like green a lot. You get these mana elves, and you go turn 1 Arbor Elf, turn 2 play a land, play a Sword of Fire and Ice. That's a pretty effective beginning to a game. Other things worth mentioning are the Burning of Shinyi deck is pretty good. The Wildfire deck, if you pick up some mana rocks. We don't have a single mana rock. I probably don't prioritize them high enough to get into the Wildfire deck. Domri Raid is not particularly great. Green-red isn't a great combination. Not in Cube, at least. Not in my opinion. Red is pretty open. Chandra's Phoenix, Magma Jet, Char are all here. I think Char is the best of the red cards, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be red. This is a very challenging pick. So I have this green ramp. I could go for green-blue ramp, maybe splash white, maybe abandon white. It seems like white is being cut. I don't think white is open, but seeing a Frost Titan this late, I feel like blue might be more open than I thought. The Ancestral Vision was also a pretty sweet card in blue. Yeah. All Dust is pretty solid. Edric is not great. Frost Titan is just so powerful. Eternal Witness, very strong. I think I'm just going to take the Avacyn's Pilgrim, though. You really want to get a high level of consistency with these 1-mana accelerants, so you can power out your spells just a little bit earlier. I mean, just, straight up the difference between Orzhov Signet and Avacyn's Pilgrim, you're just a single turn faster, which can be huge. Eternal Witness is very, very strong, though. It would be a little bit stronger if I had a fetch land to get back. I just like to max out on the 1-mana accelerants. Genesis is not a card. Pernicious Deed. Black could be open. White-black dual land. I think I'm going to take the Pernicious Deed. It's probably the most powerful card. It's not terribly good with what I have already, but you could Mize a win off of it. Necrotal's pretty strong, but double black is not what I'm looking for quite yet. I think white is being cut. We saw the Stoneforge Mystics second pick, the Faith's Fetters, but that might not be a popular card. That said, we do see a Weathered Wayfarer, which is not great, but solid. I think I'm just going to take the Wall of Blossoms, though. It draws you a card. It blocks against the red deck. It's never going to be bad. And Weathered Wayfarer I can live without. Oran Viper is a fine turn 2 play with Pilgrim and Arbor Elf. It's got a weird death touch. Someone could have the Wildfire deck to our left. That's worth considering. We might want to play around the Wildfire deck. It's a pretty sweet deck, all things considered. But yeah, Vraska. We could go green-black ramp. It seems like green-black might be a little bit more open. Vraska is a perfectly playable Planeswalker in Cube. So a little surprised to see it this late. It's not great. It should be destroy target permanent, the -3. That's what sort of holds it back, is its inability to get lands. And I'm just going to take this Stunted Growth. I mean, Stunted Growth is the card that you want to play if you want your opponent to mulligan 3 times every game. You cast a couple of turn 1 elves, and then you cast a Stunted Growth on them, and it sets them back into the Stone Age. I'm going to pass someone the Burning of Jinyi, see if I can force them into the Wildfire deck. Because the Wildfire deck is a very specific archetype that doesn't share a lot of things that we would want necessarily. Thawing Glaciers is just way too slow.